Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Sean Rosario, aka Rosey. He served 14 years as a Navy SEAL, exiting service as a petty officer first class. He founded Warrior Health Foundation in 2018, located in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. You can follow Sean on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, handles to follow after the show. And to learn more about Warrior Health Foundation, go check out warriorhealthfoundation.org. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
Man, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm super excited. I love talking to guys who start charities because I know that there's proof in the pudding. There's a reason you started this. So exiting service after 14 years, and then you kicked this off. Take us through that. What was that progression like of starting Warrior Health?
Yeah, so I had a bit of time after exiting service, bounced around the private sector, finished my undergrad education, and come 2018, I just noticed there was a problem in the way that our current VA system was really handling the issues that a lot of our special operator brothers were dealing with, whether that be in the SEAL teams, the Army, or any branch of service with special operations. So I started digging into it a little bit more, and found a very interesting study that was done on special operators. It was a 6-year study, and it's public. I have it right here. It was a study, and the term called operator syndrome was coined, and it's due to exposure to repeated concussive blast wave, traumatic brain injury. And that's really what kicked it off as an alternative to just going to the VA and them giving you a industrial size bottle of opiates to drown your sorrows out, wash it down with some whiskey. I knew there was a better way to handle things. I knew there was a better way to go about it.
Super interesting. So you get into the hormones and you get into the back engine of how we are normal before concussions and doing special operations. So what have you found starting this organization, and what do you actually do to help in special operators?
Yeah, well, what we found was, as a result of that study, that due to repeated concussive blast wave, you have things like decreased cognitive function, disrupted sleep cycle, depression, chronic joint pain, dependency on opioids and alcohol, family resiliency issues. So getting to the real root of the problem, they found severe endocrine dysfunction as a result of these repeated concussive blast waves, what it does to the pituitary gland, and how the pituitary regulates your hormonal balance throughout your life. And if you have damage to the pituitary, that releases growth hormone on your down cycle when you're resting and you're sleeping. So if that's damaged and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, your hormonal balance is going to be completely out of whack, and that leads to all those symptoms that I just mentioned. And so we said, well, what if we approach from that angle? What if we optimize and regulate the hormonal and vitamin levels in the body, in the operator? Let's see what we get. And the response has been amazing, incredible. I mean, we have to date, in 3 years, we have 300 special operators in our program, and they can't thank me enough. I get emails, text messages, phone calls from them. Sometimes it's their wives saying, "Thank you for what you're doing. You've literally changed my husband's life."
Oh, tell you what, being a guy who runs a charity myself, I know the feeling is unbelievable, especially when you get to help your brothers out and you're getting those family calls. That's huge. So walk me through. I'm a special operator. I was in an IED in 2005. I know that things aren't feeling good for me. I know that my balance is off. So what, if I come to your organization, what do I expect to do through your organization?
So the first step is, you have interest, we send you an intake package. The intake package is a bit lengthy, but it's nothing overwhelming. It's going to be a detailed medical history questionnaire that you need to fill out. There's some HIPAA compliance. There's some agreements to receive therapy. And then, of course, you have to get a physical done within the last 60 days. So we get all that information Once we have that, we send you a lab requisition form wherever you live in the country. You go get your labs done. Those results get sent back to one of our 3 providers. We have a physician on staff, we have a nurse practitioner, and we have a physician's assistant as part of our staff. Once you get the results, we'll schedule a call directly with you and we'll go over your specific lab results. You'll have a copy of it, we'll have a copy of it, and our provider will go through it with the individual. We'll identify what the shortfalls are, whether it's a combination of testosterone, vitamin B12, B6 complex, and whatever it is, because it's not a cookie cutter. Everybody's going to be different. And so we take that approach. Once that's decided, everybody agrees on it, then we drop the prescriptions to one of our pharmacies that we have a contract with, and those get drop shipped straight to your house.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I go through your program, and I'll tell you this, I'll step back and say that I've actually gone through this initial portion where I've submitted all my information. And, you know, Sean did say it's a lengthy process. It is a lengthy process, but you don't want to shortcut that. If you're having issues or symptoms, you want to make sure and take the time so that the providers can actually give you as detailed of an information and get you on the right protocols to get you to where you need to be. So I know people always, when it comes to forms, I have a charity, we have forms as well. People are like, oh no, this is where I get hung up. Don't get hung up, go through it, get it done, because this is for your health. And for everybody listening right now, I said I'm in the midst of going through it because it's my fault. I'm lazy and I haven't gotten it done yet. So as soon as I finish it, we'll be in with you. So that'd be cool. So let's get into the business side of it a little bit. So what does it cost per patient to go through, and how do you typically raise your funds?
So we typically raise our funds over the last year. We've been doing smaller, more intimate events, specifically in the Texas market. When COVID hit back in March of 2020, again, we're based in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And the model was, okay, let's arrange some large gala. Let's rent out something like Mar-a-Lago and pack it in with as many people as we can. And there's more of an elderly market in the Palm Beach area. So that wasn't happening. And I quickly had to pivot and figure out a way to raise funds in the midst of all this. So we did, our first one was in Okeechobee, Florida at a sporting clays shoot. People were still skeptical to show up just due to COVID, but we were able to raise some decent money. And that gave me the idea, and I started reaching out, and I had a conversation with somebody who lives in Wimberley, Texas, just north of San Antonio, and 2 girls that were just really on the ball. They know what they're doing. And one of them, his girlfriend, her boyfriend is another SEAL, Will Chesney, who's local to the Texas area. And she said, why don't we put something together and we can do something? And from that conversation to execution of our first event, which was in Houston, 30 days. And it was the biggest shock to me because it went so well. It was received so well. There are so many patriotic Americans that just want to hear the story and really see how they can support. So it was a blast. We had a beautiful semi-formal gala at a beautiful restaurant in Simonton, Texas. And then the next day we had a sporting clays shoot at a local gun club, and it was great. So we've done that one. We did Dallas. We're getting ready to do San Antonio, September 10th and 11th this year. And then November, we'll go back to Houston.
That's awesome. I've actually been to one of Sean's events before. It was one that was done here in Dallas, the DFW area. Top notch. Exactly like you said, you get to go shoot, which is super cool. You get to meet a lot of patriots. In fact, usually I go to events and I see a lot of same donors and I see a lot of patriots. And this one, I was like, holy cow, am I in Dallas right now? It's awesome to see a whole new wave of fresh blood, excited operators that were smiling because they've already been through your program and they're their support. So it was really cool stuff. So what does it cost per patient to go through?
So we look at everything, there's one way to look at it. Is it, how do you quantify, is it the patient or is it the entire program, what it takes to get that patient through? And we call that the program costs. Our program costs for an entire year's worth of therapy is $5,000, and that's per patient, and that covers everything to make the program work as far as pharmacy costs, lab costs, physicians, time, everything to make it work. And it's so far it's working for us.
That's awesome. So 5,000 per patient or 5,000 per special operator for the entire year. So for all you donors and potential donors listening out there, it's $5,000 a patient. Let's help them out and support their cause. Okay. So how do people find out about Warrior Health? Are you doing this word of mouth? Is it spreading through the communities and the special operations? Like, how are you getting the word out?
Right now it is word of mouth centric as far as people sharing their stories and telling them about the successes that they've had, the improvements in their health that they've had. So word of mouth has really been working really good for us. We do have, an Instagram presence. We do have a YouTube channel where, I put videos of our events up there, videos of some testimonials from our special operators that are in the program. And so that's really it right now. I didn't want to saturate it and just get a rush of 1,000 people coming in, have no funds to take care of it. I just want to be able to take care of people responsibly, grow it responsibly from a fiscal perspective, and then just move from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, kind of at the tail end of this, what the government doesn't want to call a war, but our wars. And I'm sure that if you don't have a waiting list by now, as you grow, you will. And so we got to make sure to continue to support and help them grow. So make sure to go check out Warrior Health Foundation. Is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as the organization, where you want to go with it in the years to come? I know that every person who runs an organization has their 10,000 foot view of what they want to be someday. Do you have those? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I do. It's responsible growth. I know that, as you mentioned, the war, in the news and everything, it's coming to an end. It's a 20-year war, but that doesn't mean that things are over. But now I believe we're going to start seeing more and more of these symptoms for special operators coming to light. Guys that didn't want to maybe acknowledge it or seek help for it while they were still in, now that they're winding down their careers, it's going to come knocking. And so, we're ready to serve them. Again, we have 300 people right now. We probably have a waiting list of around 30 to 40 in the queue moving through. But I just brought on a new provider, that physician's assistant, and her husband is actually in the program. And she's seen the improvements in her husband. She wanted to give back, and this is a way she can do that. But move to 1,000 from there, move to 2,000, and see how we can grow responsibly, making partnerships, that can best absorb the headcount that we have, and see how we can make it better. There's a lot of misconceptions of what testosterone is used for, and at first, I was the same way, but I learned that if you have the testosterone that you have in your body, in the male body, 65% of that goes to your heart health. It goes to, making sure that your heart functions properly, and your circulatory system. 30% of the testosterone goes to your brain health, believe it or not. And that leftover 5%, that's what goes to muscle mass and libido, which is a complete shocker for me. I thought it was the other way around. And so the importance of that shouldn't be overlooked. And that's what we're here for.
It's fantastic, brother. So obviously every charity needs funding. You obviously need awareness. How about volunteerism? Is there any way that people can get involved with you in your events, or volunteer on a daily basis, weekly basis? What does that look like?
I think that's a great question, because when we are doing our events, we now have an events page that's linked to our webpage at warriorhealthfoundation.org. The events page is whfevents.org, and that'll have information on our events. For example, the San Antonio event that's coming up on September 10th and 11th of this year, and then Houston that's going to be following in November. If you're in that area, if you're in one of those cities or in the surrounding areas, and if you feel interested and you want to help and give back, just hit up Natalie. Her contact information is there. We would love to have you, and I think it'll be a great time.
That's awesome, brother. Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you being on, man, and sharing your story post-service with us. But one thing that I really want to leave you with that you can say to everybody, for those who are special operators who are looking at this program or just hearing about it for the first time, what would you say to them? Because every one of us are super reluctant to do anything new.
Mhm.
The headstrong thing is there, but now I think people are getting more educated on health and wanting to go through this. So what would you say to a special operator who's looking into getting their body and their mind back to normal to go through your program?
I would say don't ignore it, because every single one of us has been through it, whether it be in training or in combat or a combination of both. Again, exposure to repeated concussive blast wave. If you think back in our training, okay, we're training to be proficient maybe at blowing a door, explosively entering a door. Well, you're going to do that, how many times in order to be proficient? Or I can honestly say I've done, over 500, and you're in close proximity within 7 yards of it. And that explosive wave is just blasting right through you. So it's rocking your head. Shoulder fired rockets, whether it be Law rockets, Carl Gustav's, AT4s, those things ring your bell. I think, there's a regulation that says you're only allowed to fire 2 within a 24-hour period. And, we're out there routinely, cracking off, maybe 10 or 12. So it's don't ignore it, get it checked out, because you've paid quite a price to get to where you are, and we want to make sure you're healthy for the long term.
That is absolutely badass. Couldn't agree with you more. Well, there it is. Sean Rosario, AKA Rosey, the Warrior Health Foundation, warriorhealthfoundation.org. Go check him out, support. Make sure to make a donation. Remember, each special operator, it's $5,000 to get him in the program. So let's see if we can get our donors helping you out here. We're going to keep spreading the gospel for you, keep spreading the message, get you some awareness. Really appreciate you being on, brother.
Thank you very much. We'll see each other soon.
Yeah, you bet. Later, dude.